أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is going to be our second week in Surah Al-Humaza. So last week we discussed the first three verses. Let's remember the first three verses initially. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ, woe unto every fault-finding backbiter. الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدَهُ, who has gathered wealth and counted it again and again. يَحْسَبُ أَنَّ مَالَهُ أَخْلَدَهُ, he thinks that his wealth will render him immortal. And as we were talking about the points, we talked about Humaza to Lumaza, the slander, the backbiter. What does this refer to? We first talked about the historical background where this is still the first years of revelation, where more so there's a psychological attack rather than a physical attack. So people were slandering the believers at this moment, seeing the influence of the message and the messenger on the people. And then we talked about how this applies to today. So we talked about the attitude of slandering truth even in this day and age. We also, one of the interesting interpretations was we could be backbiting or slandering my creator to people, like complaining about him. And in contrast, as I am sort of like what is common in all these is I am turning my back to truth and I am trying to rely on things, malan, like the wealth, and keep counting them or piling it up with the hope that it's going to give me eternity, or this is something that I rely on for providing me satisfaction. As I was thinking about this over the week, maybe a follow-up, not an entirely different thing, but one topic that I discussed with another friend was I happen to see some people who are smart people, yet they try to reject the message, which could also apply to me at some point. And like the specific example that I think about is, and sometimes I refer to him in here, but it's something that I am fearful about becoming such a person. This is why I'm interested in this specific example. Like this person used to be a quote unquote Islamist to a certain point. And he could even be considered as among the one of the Islamic thinkers. Lately, but he was very much into philosophy. And now he came to a point that he started saying revelation and intellect can never get together. And he is prioritizing intellectually finding answers. But since he makes this categorical distinction between revelation and intellectual thinking, so then in this perception, revelation simply becomes stories, something that you shouldn't even attempt trying to understand or think about. So I was thinking about the case that's happening in here. So this guy is a thinking person, and his intellect is trying to come up with evidences which is going to support his point. He's not a stupid person. And he's collecting some arguments. So he has something in his arsenal as well. So, which made me question, like, where does human intellect get located in this case? Like, what sort of set of arguments this person is going to bring forth so that he's trying to justify himself. I also have intellect. Like, on the other hand, now I am looking at myself, where I am trying to locate myself in. I do benefit from revelation, but in the light of the revelation, taking revelation as a guide, By using my intellect and also other senses, I am trying to confirm whether revelation's suggestion is correct or not. So still, I am also using my intellect. So then where does the problem happen? Is like intellect is the same intellect in a sense in both cases, and it's trying to confirm truth, apparently. But what is going wrong there? Why am I bringing this up? So, الذي جمع مالا وعدده part, in like if I now, since I was thinking about this, I'm trying to see how the surah applies there. Because like the example I give is from Turkey, a person in Turkey, but Turkey is a special case where it's getting faster westernized than any other Muslim country. So whatever happens in there is sooner or later going to happen in other spheres as well. And also, since this is an example in there, a person who is putting intellectual effort into somewhere, then I say, well, what led this person there? Like, am I becoming such a person, or what is the potential for me to fall into the same trap that this person, which right now I am seeing it as a trap, that I can fall into. So in this case, when I read this verse, to guide me through this, الذي جمع مالا وعدده, so gathering wealth and counting it, thinking that it's going to give me satisfaction or eternity actually here, not satisfaction, but eternity. So that person's intellect is gathering some stuff for him as well. My intellect is also gathering some stuff. But which one is going to be mal, should be considered as mal? What else should be considered as useful? Because mal is something that is transitory. Like wealth. You collect wealth, but your wealth dies away. Relying on multiple or multiplicity, the amount of this temporary things doesn't give you eternity. Like 1 plus 2 plus 5, like by summing up those small numbers, you don't get to eternity. It's just going to become a large number maybe, but it's a consumable number. It's not eternity. Which then makes me question what I collect now in the use case that I'm applying it to as knowledge. What sort of a knowledge am I collecting? Is it a knowledge that carries me to eternity, meaning gives me to a conclusion, establishing a connection with my creator eternally? Or am I trying to find some knowledge which is just going to increase me in information, yet wouldn't take me anywhere? Because when this happens, what's going to happen is maybe I will read a lot of books, maybe I will collect a lot of information, but this information is not taking me anywhere. As an example, if I were to talk about sun, what is sun? Oh, sun is, throw a number there, make some analysis, and it's a, like, I don't know, 27 billion years old star. Its radius is this much. Its heat at the core is this much at the like I can come up with a lot of information about the sun. It's going to increase me in knowledge, apparently, or information. But what does this knowledge help me in? It doesn't carry me anywhere. It doesn't give me any satisfaction in terms of my basic existential questions. Where did I come from? Where am I going to? I can use such words in any sort of a conversation or debate and whatnot. Generally, when it comes to finding the creator, what happens? Which cards do we play? Genetic sequence, evolution, this and that, all these information is there. Does it give me any answer other than wrapping things around some unknownness or randomness? But I do feel like counting those information is going to give me what I'm looking for as eternity. So this is something to pay attention to. Sometimes we gather information and count on this information's multiplicity to attack the message of the Quran. I might be doing the same. Sometimes, I mean, mostly it is happening in the sphere of, let's say, sciences, or science explains everything sort of a thing. So in this case, the mal that's being accumulated is this knowledge, which by itself doesn't help me. If I do not try to see what does this lead me to, if I just get stuck in the information itself, it's not helpful. But it can also be the same case if I now switch to, going back to the person that I have in mind, if I switch to philosophy, let's say, where now I'm starting to use, I don't know, different philosophical knowledge now. Yes, I can read a lot of history of philosophy about ideologies and everything, but do they answer my questions about where I come from, where am I going to, how I am here, why I am here, what is happening? If not, then this information is just another consumable thing, which busies me by just counting them. So I should ask myself, do I gossip about truth? Because Al-Humaza is backbiting, trying to find fault. Because this is an attitude, a decision you make at the beginning. I want to find a fault in here, so let me try to come up with some stuff which is going to cast doubt on it, rather than me trying to figure out, what am I? Like, am I honest? I guess at the core, so this would be my summary before going to the next slide, how sincere I am in trying to figure out what am I about. Am I trying to justify my stand? Or am I really trying to figure out why am I here, considering that I am a needy creature? So this is why humans' neediness is at the core. If I recognize this, I wouldn't get into this attitude. But if I already give myself some sort of a cover, some sort of a stand, and then I will try to backbite the truth and try to find faults in it. And in this case, knowledge will become some mal, some wealth that I will try to accumulate, with which I'll try to attack. I don't know to what extent this sounded reasonable to you. It might have been a little too abstract, since you do not know about the guy that I'm mentioning.
So there has to be this like purpose to like the knowledge that you're gaining, like there has to be a purpose that you're gaining it to somehow deny this message, right? Because otherwise we're in college, we are gaining knowledge every day. But would you say like that's inherently bad if there's no intention of denying the message with it?
Oh, no, you're right. But what I'm going to catch myself in is, yes, I do gain knowledge because it's part of job nowadays. You just gain knowledge because this is where you make money from. But when it comes to my relationship with knowledge, or my relationship with my creator, I'm trying to figure out what I am here. So how do I take a stand towards revelation? Or how do I take a stand towards the outcomes of revelations, what revelation points to? Because revelation is saying that Allah is the only creator. But then I say, well, I come up with certain ideas as well. Or this is my theorem. This is my finding, biological finding, or something like this. Or sometimes I say that as a collective effort of us scientists, this is what we came up with. Because if you value your title as a scientist, for example, you would like to believe that scientists are meritorious people. And if somebody comes and says, no, Allah is the creator of the knowledge that you claim you're coming up with, then this shiny image of scientist disappears, because in the society, scientist is somewhat like a semi-gods which create this knowledge. So then if I have this sense of at least scientists have something to say there, then I might start using this, my collection of knowledge or whatever it is, to attack the truth. Because truth is harming my self-image of a shiny scientist, for example. Or it might even be that in the society, I see that religious guys are just losers who doesn't use brain. I mean, there's the public image, let's say. And I would like to be understood as, a person who uses his brain, an intellectual person, a scientist, let's say. This is the image I would like to be seen as. Now, in an environment, somebody comes and starts challenging and whatnot. So which one would I go with? Would I like to retain my scientist identity? Or would I accept my reality, saying that I am a needy creature before my creator, no matter if I'm a scientist or I am a beggar? This doesn't change the fact. Since it's hurtful for my ego, if I go with the scientist side of me, then I will start collecting stuff to attack against. No, human doesn't create anything. I would say, well, come on. How do you? And then I would start casting some stones against it, either by backbiting or insinuating stuff and whatnot. And I do expect eternity to be given to me by my collection of knowledge, of wealth, whatever you would like to call it. So mal in here is something that's consumable. Or it might even be, as in between his writings, Nursi is referring to human life as another wealth. Says, let's assume you have 100 years of life. You can consider this 100 years as 100 seeds, he says. If you put this seed under the soil and let it germinate, it can come out as an eternal tree for you. But if you don't let it germinate, either make it rot or just try to preserve it as 100, eventually it's going to go away. It's going to rot. It's 100 seeds. So your life is going to become consumable, he says. What does this allude to? Rotting under the soil. So soil is, like, this allegory in here is very nice, actually. Like, humbling yourself means going down to earth. Putting soil under the earth also means, like, humbling yourself, realizing your neediness before your creator. And this is how a tree comes out of your neediness. This is your reality. But if I prefer to say that, no, I am not needy, what I have is within me, what is inside a seed, metaphorically speaking? Like the, what's it? The energy, let's call it, stored in a seed is good for living for how long? Like, unless seed is provided with energy, moisture, sun, and everything from outside, seed is going to rot very quickly. If you rely on yourself, your life is going to get wasted. Then every year of your life could be another wealth that you feel like you stack up. This is why sometimes when I hear people saying, in this life, I accumulate memories. But they use this in the sense of, let's try to experience good stuff, good friendships, like let's wander around the world and see good places and whatnot. That is it, like it stays there. I lived a life, a full life. If I die, I would say, well, I lived a good life. If none of those collections, memories go beyond the grave, they are consumables. Like, they are just a list of pictures, if you like, which are bound to be burned. So this is يَحْسَبُ أَنَّ مَالَهُ أَخْلَدَ. Any of those wealth or collectibles, let's put it this way, which doesn't give me, which doesn't connect me with my maker doesn't help. Any comments? So let's move on. كلا لينبذن في الحطمة. By no means, he surely be thrown into the consuming one. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْحُطَمَةُ, and what will convey unto you what the consuming one is. So, Narullah al-Muqadah, it is fire of Allah kindled. We have seen this phrase before, like Quran keeps using this sort of a thing, and we mentioned that it's not to say that, oh, you can never know it, but it's more so, it means that to attract my attention to grandness of what it is, and also saying that what you know about is nothing. Let me explain you what it is. But it's understandable by you. That's why I'm explaining it to you. Right? So in general, this should be our attitude towards Quran. So Quran speaks to me at my level in a way that I can understand. So whatever is mentioned in the Quran, I should ask the question, if this is mentioned to me, it must make sense to me in some sense. So now our questions are, Al-Hutama means consuming one, it's crusher. So now the questions are, what is it? What does it consume? What is consumer one, crusher, as you experience here and now? Because again, this is a guidance. I should be able to confirm it here as well. Yes, in afterlife, I will see it in its ultimate meaning, but somehow right now I should be able to say I bear witness to. How and why is that related to the backbiting mentioned in the intro? Any comments, please? Yes.
So I'm connecting it to more the counting of the wealth, where if you're like in general, when I think about people like that who are concerned about their wealth so much that they keep on counting it to make sure it's all there, they're consumed by this fear of like losing everything or losing it. So that's something that I'm connecting it to. That like that is consuming them in a way that like as a fear sort of situation of losing all that wealth that is supposedly going to make them.
Okay. Yeah. So fear of losing. Yes.
I'm tied to like a feeling that consumes you. Maybe the fear and anxiety of self-dependence, like self-reliance, relying on yourself, and this fear of, like everything's up to me, and again, like that anxiety that happens.
Yeah. So it's like a false self-image where I think that I am capable, yet in fact I know that I am not capable. Or at least what ifs are there. Today I won, but I don't know whether I will be able to win tomorrow. So this could be a consuming fire.
Yeah, I think we had in one of the Jamahut class you talked about anxiety and how like it roots from the fact that like if you're looking for a job, as soon as you start thinking I'm going to get the job and I need to do this, that's all the weight on your shoulder, and that essentially like even in English, like they use the word consume, like it consumes you, it eats you up inside. So like that sort of self-dependence and like I'm the one who's going to be doing all these things, and it depends on me on how like my life will go without me.
Yeah. That's good. And the fire, what's the nature of fire? Even if it's a simple match, like small, it can consume the entire house. Like if you give more fuel to it, it will say, give me more. Like this is the nature of fire. It just, as you give more, it consumes more, it gets bigger. So the more wealth, as if you accumulate, it's going to consume more. So it looks like as if with the nature of the wealth that I accumulate, it's coming with its own curse. The more I collect, the more is becoming my fire. So losing is a key point here, actually. Where does losing come from? It's coming from death or separation. Actually, the moment I get this, let's go with the wealth, or let's call it my life, my years of life. The moment I live the life, right away, it's just going away from my hand. So it's becoming, it's coming together with its fear of losing, number one. Number two, it's coming with the feeling of separation right away as well. Because the joys that I experience, they end. What do they leave behind? This lack of taste is left behind. It's a weird thing. Like the joy stays with you permanent amount of time, but once it departs, there's an emptiness left in you. If you didn't experience the joy in the first place, you wouldn't feel as bad. Because you are now disadvantaged. It's not like I accumulated memory. Actually, what the memory disappeared or the joy disappeared, but the, if you like, smoke of it remained with you. Something that's not positive anymore. Lack of it remained with you. Its presence is not with you anymore. It just departed. So this is something that keeps bothering me at the moment. Collecting more of it is bothering me at the moment. So this separation, since it didn't connect me with my maker, it causes me this pain, this lasting pain. And I'll continue with the rest of the questions and we can discuss it all together. So, Narullahi al-Muqada, that's an interesting phrase in there, which I couldn't find a thorough answer to that question. It's not saying that Naru Muqadatun, like it's a fire that's kindled, but it says it's fire of God kindled. Why is it specifically being attributed to God? This fire is being attributed to God. What is the significance of it? I was asking it to a friend, and he mentioned that when something is attributed to Allah in Quran, it is to show grandness of it, just to say that it's not just any fire. Another aspect he mentioned was that attributing that this being is coming from your creator. It's not random, it's not by chance, it's not the nature of it. Okay. So let's just consider these two answers up until you have better answers. Still, I was looking for something more special, but these are what I have seen so far. So the feel of burning, you have something?
Yeah. The second point you mentioned, I'm thinking about it in those terms too, that let's say you have the fear or you're consumed by, let's stick with like losing your wealth, then you might think that this anxiety is caused like by that wealth itself. Like the fire is like the cause is the wealth that you're accumulating and counting over and over. But I feel like this ayah for me at least when I first started it separated like whatever you're like it's not that like this is from us, like this is from Allah, like this consuming feeling that you're feeling, it's from Allah, which means you're doing something wrong. Because if it's a fire, you could read and attribute it to, oh, you know what, like I'm doing this wrong, and it's because of this. But no, it's from Allah because of something you're doing.
It's a test. It's a test. What does this mean? It's a very cryptic word. Open it up. It's a test. Like the test and intention. These are two very cryptic words.
Allah is putting into this fire to come out of it.
So it's like a wake-up call.
So, and that wake-up call only comes from
Where this feeling of burning is put in there so that you realize that this is wrong. So it's not nature, but it's a. So in this case, then we can even consider it as your maker is warning you by the feeling of burn in there, saying that wake up. So it's not a random thing that's happening.
and that burning would be attributed to it.
Burning it to be. Comment there.
I was just wondering, I think we talked about this concept of like kindling of the fire before in the context of like being still in the fridge and the wife was doing, I guess like at the end of the flow talking about how sort of like in her hands she was like carrying the firewood and sort of like carrying like the kindling like from the fire. So are we, I guess, is this fire like I guess I'm a bit confused because could you say that like you're the one kindling this fire by relying on sort of this wealth and like counting this wealth you're kindling on this fire, or in this ayah it's like it's connected to Allah. So like what is it more like we have the choice to like, do this like counting and so we are kindling it, but the consequence is Allah. Okay, good. That's sort of how I understood it. But I was also thinking of another aspect of fire being something that is purified things as well. So when you heat something up, like you can, at least in my lab right now, they plain sterilized instruments to use in my experiments. And I guess maybe that could be another aspect like that it's attributed to Allah, so that could be another part of the like grandness is that there's a purifying aspect, and I think when you're also when things burn away, what's left is something that can nourish and like when, for example, if there's like a forest fire, when everything burns away, it creates like fertile soil for new things to grow as well. So I don't know if I'm not sure if that aspect is really like what is emphasized in these specific ayahs, but like that was something I was thinking of like in terms of the characteristics of fire.
So I think it could be understood as such because like since the creator is ahad, what does this mean? Like he is merciful and at the same time he punishes wrongdoing within the same event. So that's an aspect which looks to punishment, but another aspect which has mercy as a warner. So one is not a contradiction to other, but with maybe depending on the context, one is going to be more than the other. So in here, since it's not Allah al-Muqadda, so the name Allah is representing grandeur more than the name Rabb, for example. Rabb is more so looking for the mercy. When name Rabb is mentioned, the connotation of mercy is more apparent. But when the name Allah is mentioned, it's more so representing grandeur of the Creator. So in this case, then we can say that the more apparent meaning in here, or the more primary meaning in here, is that in this life, I mean, it's a good example that there's like a forest fire, or you can think of it like a like grass fire. So from one corner of your life, it's already lit up, and the moment is what you're living, and as if this is coming towards you. Where are you going to escape? Like 100 years of life? Eventually, it's going to burn you, and the worry of it chasing you is also worrying you or killing you or burning you right now too. So every moment I'm going to be in this sense of urgent fire consuming me. And I guess as I age, it happens more when I talk to old friends and whatnot, or even today in the morning, for whatever reason, I remembered a very old funny video. I shared it with my wife, and then I realized that it had been 17 years that this video first appeared. So, like, it feels very awkward to see such moments. So we were laughing at this, but now with a bitter taste, I laugh at the same thing because it reminds me of my 17 years gone away. And I was looking YouTube, comments sometimes. I saw that many people commented the same. They said that, oh, it had been 15 years. I am laughing as I am feeling this bitter taste of separation. So my life has passed, unbelievable, 15 years, they say. So this sense of consuming is there. And I even shared the video with a friend, which we watched it together 17 years ago. So, like, is it a good memory? Sort of, but it's not same fun as I was watching it 17 years ago. So it's consuming me in this sense. And the creator is kindling this fire, saying that I create your life and I will consume its, if you like, material aspect, its mal, its wealth aspect of it. Did you connect with the afterlife, as we have been mentioning afterlife on Friday as well? Did you connect it with your creator? This is what stays. I mean, in a sense, like if I were to, like, there's this paper over there, some Arabic text is written on it. If I burn the paper, it will start from one corner and then it will burn the whole thing. Will it burn the meaning in there? If I don't know reading and I do not understand what is in there, if you burn it, it will destroy the thing. But if I read it, understood its meaning, which means now I am connecting to something beyond the paper itself, even if you burn it, nothing gets destroyed. I wouldn't worry about it. As for my life, if I just take it as whatever is on the surface value, the joys, the momentary things that I experience, death is definitely burning it out, physically speaking. And my worries, psychological worries, are even burns them before encountering them. When couples are having a new child, the worry starts even before the child is born. Is the child going to be healthy? If the child is born healthy, oh, okay, very good. But how about the schooling? Is the child is going to get the first year without disease? Then what would happen in the school? Like, when I look at both my kids now, like, constantly I keep making dua, saying that, oh, Allah, protect them from this, protect them from that. The worry is there. Like, it keeps burning you in a sense, unless I can see all these as opportunities to connect to my creator. Like, those worries themselves are a way for me to connect to my creator. If I do so, it becomes this worry itself becomes an invitation for meeting with my creator, meeting with the beloved one. But if I take it as, no, it's a threat to an existing thing, then it consumes me. So Narullah, in this case, I guess, then I can take it as my creator intentionally designed the existence as such. It is supposed to disturb me if I rely on it as the actual thing. But if I take it as, no, it means something else. Because, again, with the same example, this text written over here, if I know that its author can write it again, I wouldn't worry about it being burnt, right? How about my own life? Who's the author of this life? If I think I am the author of this life and it's just passing by, once I die, it's gone. But if I say that my book is being recorded by someone who is eternal, nothing is lost. None of my memories are gone. They are alive and they would be accessible to me as they are today. Then I wouldn't be lamenting about my passing life. I would have the comfort of, I will even start liking the old age. So, التي تطلع على الأفئدة, which rises over the hearts. إنها عليهم مؤصدة, verily it is closed in on them. بأعمد ممددة, in outstretched columns. So this is further describing the fire, saying that this fire is rising over the hearts. And the word used in here is fu'ad, not qalb. And commentators were saying that wherever the word fu'ad is used in Quran, it is referring to the feelings, inner feelings, has nothing to do with the organ part itself. Qalb, they said, could be used or being used in both meanings in Quran, but wherever fu'ad is mentioned, it's being mentioned as this feelings of human being. So it's saying that this fire is rising over the hearts. And it's closed in on them in outstretched columns. So the questions in here is, why is there this emphasis of fire? This fire that's being mentioned is rising over hearts. Why is this mention of hearts? Number one. Number two, what's this depiction of as if the fire is closing on you? They say for the interpretation of Inna alayhim mu'sada, they say as if you are being closed in a, is it vault where they put the body? Like as if you're put in there and closed up on it. So you get trapped underneath it. And then there's this bi'amad mumaddada. So these are like a long columns. You're surrounded by those long columns. What does this imagery indicate about this fire?
There's no escape. Like it's one, like you're surrounded by it, and like since they're like longer columns, outstretched columns, like even like you're surrounded from everywhere, essentially.
And it's rising over hearts. Like the way I was trying to explain it, for example, were as if it is coming from after me, from outside. And as if this is saying that, no, this fire is being kindled from within. It's right inside you. This is where the fire is coming from. So heart is as if the very core of me, at the very center of my feelings, this fire burns me from there. Henceforth, where to escape? The fire is starting from this very center. So let's now wrap it up and try to connect it with our intro 3 verses as well. Because we talked about several different meanings. Let's try to see it, what the surah tells me for if I take it as collecting wealth, collecting knowledge, backbiting my creator. Like in all those cases, what does this surah tell me? And inshallah, everybody should have some take. I'm ready to listen. And by the way, we have a lot of noise outside. Inshallah, you are able to hear us, online people. And since people didn't leave yet, I am assuming that they are able to hear somewhat.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Any ideas? I can pull up the first part again. So, Al-Humaza, backbiting people, they were gathering wealth and counting them, thinking that it's going to give them eternity.
Someone.
It's a warning. Of what sort? You're very succinct.
learning about how you can follow the facts, integrate the law and living on life, and knowing what a purpose is.
Okay, good morning. Let's go with
One imagery that is happening, the kind of collection of things that is really that, you know, well, if that's supposed to represent fuel, for me, the more I gather the fuel and I surround myself with it, in the end, it's essentially set fire on the top. So I was thinking, one of the images that I have is continue to gather, um, not only is it, not gonna make me immortal, but I impose myself in it, as a whole. Okay. Right then, feel the sickness, the fire surrounding from everything is like the brain that's been, well, as a consequence of this one that cut off to death.
Mhm. Okay, so just for online people, if they were not able to hear, so there are things which I consider that they're going to give me eternity. They are not only not giving me eternity, but becoming like I am trapping myself and trapping myself in them. Not only a prison, but a fire in which I am getting consumed. So it is being just the exact opposite of what I wanted to get from them. And as much as I rely on them with its larger numbers and whatnot, it could be wealth, it could be title, it could be family, whatever it is. As long as it's going to be countable and not infinite, but countable, which is the worldly things anyways. So they are going to become source of my torture rather than giving me the bliss that I expect from them. It's going to become a fuel for that fire. The more they are, the more fire there is. Yeah, Sister Serene or Natalia.
I was just like a lot of what she already said, but like the only thing I would add is that it seems like it's a warning, like Abdullah was saying, of making sure that everything that we get in wealth, whether it is like actual money or knowledge even, to be able to have that connect you to your creator. And again, like create that connection, because if we take this as what's gonna give us eternity, then like you said, it's just gonna like we're just gonna be entrapped by it and we'll have no escape, we'll just keep on consuming it.
Ahmed?
But I'm also thinking of it, like it's very symbolic in a way that like we do expect immortality in Jannah. Like that's the end goal. Like if we go on the right path, we will get eternity there. But I like how, like in the following ayahs, it's talking. It seems like it's talking about Jahannam and there's fire, and it doesn't. You don't have to essentially wait for it to be decided. You're going to go through it here too.
I think everyone pretty much is that I've hit all the points like gonna say. I was just gonna say that I think the Surah addresses a fundamental need that I have, which is for eternity and immortality, which I think we kind of talked about in the beginning that and so we do have this tendency to like look for things that can satisfy this need. But if we end up looking for it, keep having doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, like when I die, like all of that is going to be okay. So maybe like thinking about instead of thinking about the information in and of itself, trying to connect it to like the quality, the attribute. Study something.
So then let's finally talk about some practicality of this. Otherwise, it sounds very abstract. There's a comment. Okay. Can't hear. Yes, unfortunately, there's a lot of noise outside, so probably you're not able to hear the people speaking in the room. So practically, what does it mean that like something happens in life? How do I make it eternal? How do I see how it connects to my creator? This is one aspect. The other aspect is I make a gossip of it and I just collect numbers on it. What are the two so that Quran is suggesting me to do one and not the other? I mean, in this case, it's suggesting me not to do the other by negation, suggesting me to do the first one. So let's say I become successful in an exam, or my paper got accepted somewhere. I found the best job, best paying job. Or I'm not able to find the proper person to marry, like good or bad, whatever is happening in life. And since it's talking about collecting, stacking up things, which means I'm trying to stack up successes in life. How do I connect them to eternity? What does this mean? Any practical example you would like to give? Because it shouldn't be like some assumption, but rather thoroughly, I should be convinced that, oh, this is what it means, this is what it points to. It should be in the sense that, like, I know I wouldn't be able to do this no matter what, yet I am given. Therefore, I am sure there is someone who gives it to me. Let me give you a very simple example, which sounds like a too good to be true. Like once we were, like I was very young, like I don't know, maybe 12, 13 or something, like still a child. And we were at we visited Umrah this year. It was Ramadan. And my dad was, and we do iftar in the masjid. And the iftar you make is very simple, like a few dates, if you can find a piece of bread, maybe a few fruits. I mean, they are opening, like some people just open up large sofra, they call it. In 10 minutes, you eat, wrap it up, continue with the prayer. My dad was going to go out to get a wudu. And he said, what would you like from outside? I said, bring me ayran. Like, as if it is, but you know, I was fasting that day, so I guess I was just looking for it. So he went out, but then he said, I took the wudu, it was getting too crowded, and once it gets too crowded, they close the doors. So he said, I came in, sorry, I couldn't get into the markets, because the market was crowded as well. So he came back, and okay, I mean, there's no ayran, fine. It's not the end of the world. But then, as the time was getting nearby, we invited a passerby saying that, come sit here. And the guy was just somebody with ihram. So he's a traveler at this moment. He is not like coming up with a bag. He had a small bag of food in his hand, and apparently somebody else gave it to him. And there was bread, cheese, maybe a banana, and ayran in there. And he took out ayran and gave it to me. So you say, well, whomever heard this voice of a child is having control over the heart of this guy, because he didn't give anything else. Still, you see that he could have given me bread, banana, cheese, but he took out iron and gave it to nobody but this small kid in there. So he said that definitely this is gift of your creator. So once you establish this connection, Iran got drunk, went down the drain, literally, at some point. But that Iran's connection with my creator is there. But this was so clear of a thing that you can deduce. But sometimes it happens in life that you study for an exam, you think, and then you become successful the following day. To whom do I attribute this? I studied and I found it. And then I say, oh, for the next exam, I need to study more because I need to raise the bar. I keep accumulating these. They are not becoming, like they're not connected to my maker. They become mine. I did it, I achieved it, and I need to do more. So they become now, as you said, makes me anxious because I need to protect them, or I need to increase them in number because there's another student who is my rival. He is also studying. I need to beat him. So since they are not connected, what was the reality? How could I have connected to my maker? I should have said that, what did I do to become successful? I studied. What portion of studying did I make? Well, I spent this many hours. I took so many notes and whatnot. Which portion of all these acts belong to me? Other than a small choice, which was studying or not to study, what belongs to me really, if I pay attention to? The tools with which I engage with the textbook is not mine. The eye is functioning, brain is functioning. Sometimes the day before the exam, you had a headache and you realize that, oh, I was taking it for granted that eye has to be there, brain has to be there. But sometimes the creator gives you pain and saying that it does not need to be there. Then you can question further. Does brain do anything in there either? Or the eye, does it function by itself? Because it's not aware of itself in the first place. It's a getting together of billions of particles. Yet eye is being made out of this. And beyond eye, sight is being created. Like a camera by itself doesn't mean anything. The sense of seeing is being created. So all these are things that I only experience. I am being given them. And at the end of all, I say I learned. Where did this get recorded? Who recorded it? I didn't. I just sat before the book. Somehow it got recorded. I don't know where. Tomorrow when the exam comes, I remember, where did this come from? So once all these come together, I say, well, not even a fraction of it belongs to me. Success, learning, everything belongs to him. And then I will remember, if I can connect this event with my creator, even if the success will get forgotten and whatnot, but my connection with my creator will stay with me even if it is 50 years later. I am not as smart. My eyes are not seeing as good, but I would say, oh, my creator is the one who gives sight. How do you know? I experienced it once, 50 years ago. So he is all seeing, I can now say. The one who sees gave me this sight. It becomes an eternal thing for me now. The success doesn't matter. It was just an occasion in which I made this connection. So I need to go through this process, not just say, oh, God gives everything. Because when I say God gives everything, many things are just being taken for granted, and still I might attribute them to myself, to this or that, without noticing it. So I need to go through this, facing my reality. Who does this? If I don't pay attention to it, I start attributing it to myself. I start gossiping about existence. Now, if I take this Humaza to Lumaza in there, the existence becomes a thing for me to gossip about. Like when you get together with friends, what do you talk? Oh, you bought this cloth? I saw it other day. Yeah, such and such was wearing it. This becomes our conversation. Oh yeah, where did you graduate from? Oh yeah, my son is studying here, or oh yeah, he was born in this age, that age. Like nonsense or not so useful information which doesn't take me anywhere. It becomes consumable. And the Creator says, yes, fire is there to consume them. The more you talk about this nonsense gossip about events, they become a waste of time, waste of life for yourself. I guess the very clear example of this is in our society now, Twitter, Instagram, news media. What is the use of today's elections to me that I will now Google in and say, oh, who is going before, who is going after? Let's assume it has some effect in your life. 2 days later, you will learn it. But I have this urge to look at it moment by moment, and then, oh, he is going forward, she is coming more. Like this gossiping thing is going to be there as if I'm looking for some sort of a satisfaction in there. Is there going to be any satisfaction? It's just another consumable. Fire is going to consume it. And actually, it's consuming me as I become adrenaline hyped with this, in fact, dissatisfactory things. I become, I spoil my sense of taste. Now that I'm not enjoying any of them anymore, but I'm just sliding more to get something that's different, that can give me a little bit of a excitement. This is how I am feeling about sometimes. I get bored doing things, and I'm trying to see, oh, at least I hope YouTube is going to suggest me a video which is going to a little bit excite me, because my taste buds, if you like, got so much numb because I didn't give it the proper taste that it's looking for, which is eternal satisfaction. It's looking for some hype news, such as, oh, such and such happened in 1987, and this was the bad guys, these were the good guys. Like, look at all those YouTube channels. They're called clickbait. So what do we expect from there? So I think these are all different examples of it from different facets of life, which keeps consuming us, which is defining our reality, unfortunately. So may Allah make us not to gossip about the events of life, but convert them into eternity. Somehow they should give me eternity, like a everlasting connectedness with my Creator, like this single iron that was drank but didn't go down the drain. It stayed with me. So if all the events, all the events is being too ambitious, but if I start collecting such events in my day, which connects with my Creator, that togetherness lasts. And this is how eternal life will start here. Because you know that your Creator, who is everlasting, who is going to, even if the paper burns, who is going to able to definitely rewrite this book, is ever living. What is the worry? What sort of a death is there? Death dies if I start living with this feeling. And since Fuad was mentioned here, what is the negation of fire raising over the heart? Then the paradise is going to loom over the same heart. I'm going to start feeling this satisfaction even when I am here. So this is why I really like this way of looking at akhirah, afterlife. It starts here. Both hell and heaven starts here. May Allah make us among the people of Jannah. Any concluding remarks? Not, let's conclude here. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواه من الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.